It seems almost unbelievable that a decade had passed since that Tuesday, a day that started under incredibly blue skies and ended with the smoke of terrorism hanging over New York City, our nation's capital, and the fields of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Connecticut paid a price that it was very heavy when we lost 152 men and women. To you, the families, September 11th is not a day to be remembered once a year. You live with the horror of that day every day of every year.
What this is about is remembering the lives of those individuals who were lost on that day, and the sacrifices of those who responded on that day, particularly at the World Trade Center. The brothers and sisters of the first responders. I couldn't come up with words that could make the feelings of those who've lost a loved one any easier. Except I want you to understand that I know you do not measure your pain in terms of years, but rather weeks and days and moments and occasions.
Lawrence A. Bell, Brian C. Bennett, Jeffrey D. Bettner, Christopher J. Blackwell, Fire Department, New York, Alan Patrick Boyle, Alexander Kaczynski, Francis Henry Frank Brennan, Thomas M. Brennan, Joseph M. Coladrino, Edward Caldron, Sandra Campbell, and Alejandro Castano.
Juan Caballos, Stephen P. Cherry, Kevin Francis Cleary, Jeffrey W. Cloud, Keith Eugene Coleman, Scott Thomas Coleman, Margaret Connor, Kevin P. Connors, Joseph John Kefo, Dolores Costa, Brian Thomas Cummins, Paul Corioli,
Patrick Donahue, Lieutenant Kevin Donnelly, FDNY, John Bruce Eagleson, Michael Egan, Ulf Ram Erickson, Eric B. Evans, Wendy R. Faulkner, Edward T. Fergus Jr., Bradley Fetchit, Paul M. Fiore, John Fiorito, Bennett Lawson Fisher.
Peter C. Fry, Richard Peter Gabriel Sr., Richard S. Gabriel, James A. Gadil, Thomas E. Galvin, Aseni Mama Garber, Christopher Samuel Gardner, Peter Allen Gay, Peter Gerard Jelinas, Robert Gerlich, Lawrence Getzfred, Evan Hunter Gillette.
Ronald Gilligan, Stephen Lawrence Glitt, Wilder A. Gomez, Kiran Kumar Reddy Gopu, Edwin J. Graff III, Donald F. Green, James A. Greenleaf Jr., Pedro Grahan, James D. Halverson, Sean S. Henley, my niece, Christine Lee Hansen, my brother, Peter Burton Hansen, and my sister-in-law, Sue King Hansen.
Michelle Heidenberger, H. Joseph Heller, John Henwood, Robert Higley II, James J. Hoban, Judith Florence Hoffmiller, Paul R. Hughes, William Christopher Hunt, Thomas Edward Hines, John F. Iskian, Ariel Lewis Jacobs, Michael Grady Jacobs, Mark Mark Stephen Jadam, and my brother Timothy John Hargrave. TJ was the youngest of 8 children, my mom's youngest son, and my sister also is here. Love you, TJ.
Robert Thomas Jordan, Richard M. Keene, Peter R. Kellerman, Maurice Patrick Kelly, William Hill Kelly Jr., Amy King, Stephen Lamontia, Gary E. Lasco, Robert A. Lawrence Jr., Joseph A. Lenihan, Adam J. Lewis, Stephen B. Lilienthal, Gary W. Lozier, Michael J. Lyons, and my father, Glenn Davis Kerwin. Daddy, we love you and miss you.
Edward Teddy F. Maloney, Ada Mason, Kevin Michael McCarthy, Juliana McCourt, Ruth McCourt, Eamon McEnany, Michael G. McGinty, Francis McGinney, William J. Meehan Jr., Escadar Malakut, Raymond Joseph Metz III, my uncle Joseph Miller, Michael M. Miller, Cheryl Ann Moniak, Lindsay S. Morehouse.
Jude Musa, Caesar A. Muriello, Christopher William White Murphy, Daniel Robert Nolan, Robert W. Noonan, Timothy M. O'Brien, Scott J. O'Brien, James Andrew O'Grady, Christopher Bogowitz, Margaret Quinn Orleski, Thomas Anthony Palazzo, James Matthew Patrick, Mike A. Pelletier.
Joshua Piver, Roger Mark Rossweiler, Jean Destrahan Roger, Sean P. Bruni, Michael C. Rothberg, Jason E. Sabag, Jesus Sanchez, Stacy Lee Sanders, Sean Shelkey, John B. Schwartz, Randy Scott, Barbara Shaw, Michael John Simon, Heather Lee Smith.
Diane Bullish Schneider, Gregory T. Spagnoletti, George E. Spencer III, Derek J. Statkovicus, Craig William Staub, Andrew Sergio Polis, Madeline Sweeney, Michael C. Turo, Thomas F. Thurkov Jr., Eric Raymond Thorpe, Amy E. Toyin, Tyler Ugolin, Jonathan J. Uman, Alan V. Upton.
Bradley H. Vedas, Edward Raymond Van Court, Raymond Veraki, James Thomas Waters Jr., Jeffrey David Weiner, Candace Lee Williams, John P. Williamson, William Eben Lowson, David H. Winton, Christopher W. Wolnischek, Martin Phillips Wolforth, John Works, Edward P. York, Charles A. Zion.